What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another day of building. And that's what B is for. I'm so good at this. 4.5 years in, nailing it every time. Guys, as of right now, today we have 19 days left until this car has to leave for SEMA. Normally I tell you, here's the goal, here's what we're gonna do, and then we try and do that in the episode. We can't really do that right now. There's so many small things, not even small, so many things that need to be done. We're just gonna go a bunch of different directions and we're gonna bust them all out, and I'll tell you about them as we go through them. Let's get started. Stay tuned. Right off the bat, guys, I want to say thanks for the comment about the exhaust manifolds. We do know that glowing could also be a result of timing or fuel, and we will try and figure that out in today's episode and just kind of double check some stuff. But just in case, I went down to our friends over at ETS, Extreme Turbo Systems, and I was like, please, 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 could I have a lot of stainless steel? And you guys would not believe it. They just walked me over to their awesome shelf full of stuff and let us take absolutely everything we need to be able to rebuild these exhaust manifolds in Schedule 40 stainless steel, the really, really buff stuff. So if we need to, it is here, and I want to give them a huge thanks, and I want to send everybody their way, guys. So the link is in the description of their website. Go check it out. There's no sponsors today. Consider them the sponsor of today's episode. They helped us out in such a huge way, and I can't thank them enough. Link is in the description. Follow their Instagram. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. All right, let's get down to work. All right, getting started over here. Oscar's gonna be working on mounting the hood and trimming up this new thing. So Lamborghini calls this like a front plenum cover thing. I don't know. Anyways, we bought it. Thank God we have it. It got here in time. To work with our Super Trofeo parts, we're gonna have to do a little bit of trimming and a little bit of stuff like that. And later on, I'll be 3D printing all the holes for that. But we're gonna go ahead and get that on here, mock up the rest of the front end. Oscar's gonna get the hood on here, and then he's gonna build the standoffs so the hood will actually, you know, slide into the right spot and then latch for the right spot. While he's doing that, our turbos have water cooling, and we are running a completely separate system for the turbo water cooling. So this is the radiator. I got a reservoir somewhere. I'm gonna grab it, start plumbing things through and plumbing up the turbo cooling system and all the fun stuff that goes with that. Update time. Oscar started with the kind of standoffs. These little pieces come out and they hold the hood pins so that the hood will stay on the car correctly. Hood, arrow latch, snaps down on those pins. We'll repaint those later. We had to steal them off the Datsun because we lost our package of arrow latch and we couldn't find it. You might have seen us run around looking for everything for like 30 minutes. Anyways, so that's pretty good. He's just got to weld all that out after they're straightened up. Over here, I'm working on applying some of the fun stuff that I ordered for the turbo cooling system. So we've got 45s that come off of the turbo. Everything is 6AN plumbed to the turbo, just like how Garrett wants it. So these lines are gonna all be one bundle coming down. And then we have our pump, which is right here. Lamborghini does this one really weird. We stole this out of a Lamborghini Huracan. Ground, positive. We did a pressure test. It looks good. So then we got to run from that size hosing, that big old hosing, this big old hosing, to a 6AN. So we got a 10AN barb that goes into the hose coming out of the radiator for the turbos, downsizing to a 6AN to 6AN hose. So I'm going to start to, first I'm going to install the pump. It's going to go somewhere in here, and then I got to plumb the pump to the radiator, and then I'll start to build the 6AN lines that are going to run to the turbos. I built a couple little L brackets for where I wanted to mount the pump. Oscar welded those in for me. Now all I got to do, I also went to the store and bought some hosies so I can run from that to my AN lines. So now all I got to do is plumb this biatch, and we should be pretty good to go. Oscar and I also worked on trimming up this front plenum a little bit, which we'll clean up maybe never, whenever we feel like it, a little bit over there to make room for our hood, because with the vents, the hood kind of dives down and actually hits a little bit of that stuff. But once we got that cleaned up, the hood fits very nicely now. So he's moving on to the Fenders. Quick update, we got a bunch of the hoses ran, so I've got it going from the pump, out down there, adapting into the 6AN, and then coming up to the turbo, out of the turbo. These are all gonna get bundled and wrapped with some heat shielding stuff from PTP, and then it's coming down and around into this turbo right here. And then now we just need to run our last little return line that's gonna go back and to the pump, and actually goes to the radiator, and then the radiator goes back to the pump. So I gotta get all that sorted out and run that last line, and then I'll get to show you guys how it works. Alright, turbo cooling system is finished. Got all the lines ran, got the radiator back installed, got the pump installed. Tomorrow we will fill it up and give it a test. That's a wrap on 19 days left. I'll see you tomorrow. We're back for day 18. The turbo cooling system is working, so we got everything all done. So this is making sure that this is kind of our overfill, and we're going to do that pressurized so we can get a little bit higher temperatures. That runs into this dual pass radiator right here, through everything, through the pump, which you can hear running. That's the sound of the pump pushing the fluids through. And then what Oscar and I did was kind of fun. We actually hit the radiator with a heat gun quite a bit and got it like kind of up to temperature, and then felt the lines all the way through to make sure that the water was running all the way through the system, and it's all good. So that's ready for its like kind of final attachment, final wiring, and all that stuff, which is as good as done in BS for Build terms. All right, now that I'm done with the turbo cooling system, I'm gonna move on to our brakes. So in the fire, our rear brake lines ended up looking kind of like this. They got completely toasted and disconnected from the calipers. This is the rubber line that runs to the hard line. The hard line's in okay condition, so we gotta go ahead and just jack up the car, remount the hard line, mount the bracket, and then run the soft lines from the caliper back to the hard line. Brake lines are installed. The fiery side gave us a little bit of a problem, but with a little bit of heat and a torch and a vise, I managed to make it work. So we've got our awesome, these are legitimate Lamborghini rubber lines, but I don't think they're rubber. They're definitely going to be like steel braided with a rubber wrapping. I don't think Lamborghini would ever run just like a plain rubber line to back here. And these were provided to us by the guys at Mullins Auto Parts. You guys know that they like have hooked us up with a ton of stuff for this build. I'll put a link in the description to their YouTube store. Check it out. They got tons of stuff. Tons of stuff. So that's awesome. Our brakes are now fully plumbed, fully back together. We are ready to fill the brake system up with fluid. Motul, our fluid sponsor, has given us some brake fluid, and I probably lost the rest, so I'm gonna look for the rest of that stuff, and then we'll get that, you know, filled up. Not important. Brakes, not important. All right, moving on to the front. Oscar has done a great job. Dude, we got to get that shirt made. B is for build on the front. Oscar did a great job on the back, right? That'd be awesome. Okay. Comment down below if you want Oscar did a great job shirt. I did not realize how much I said that, but he does a great job. So anyways, so he built these 90s off really rigid to mount the fenders, and the fenders look really, really good coming down. So you got one on each side. We just had the hood on here a second ago, which you probably saw, and it all looks really great. My friend Tavares, she just made a post. He said, I've been worrying about, I've been finishing the front end panel gaps for 4 days. In my opinion, if we spend more than 4 hours on this car on panel gaps, that's like too much time. Race panels, race car, it'll look good regardless. We're just not worrying about it. They're gonna be even, and then like that's it. If they're even side to side, front to back, calling it good, moving on. We don't have weeks to do this, and this is not a show car. So anyways, if the Zeus tabs didn't tell you that much, but they do look really good as we're building them anyway. So Oscar did a great job. And now next part is these back parts back here. I'm gonna do the wheel bearings. We need new ones, all of them. All right, I got the wheel bearing off. It comes off. It comes off. Oh Jesus! There we go. Wheel bearing's off. we need a press to press the bearing out of this thing. So the next time I'm over at ETS, they told me they have a press and they can press those for us. So that's awesome. There's the new wheel bearing. I want to tell you about the fronts. The fronts were really bad. I started disassembling these and I noticed both of them were really bad in the same way. And then this car only had like 3,000 miles on it, and there's really no way without fire or hitting to wear a wheel bearing that badly in about 3,000 miles. So I started doing some research and I found out that actually these kind of get sandwiched by the outer CV joint in the all-wheel drive setup with the bolt that goes through the front. And so if you do a conversion to rear-wheel drive, you need a stub axle, and Lamborghini actually sells one. Or not an axle, but it's like a, well, yeah, kind of. Anyway, so we need one of those and we got to find one, but that means that we don't need to change the wheel bearings right now. So that's good, a little bit less work. Oscar has got the tab done for the fender, so our fenders have mounts and that's all good. So now he's gonna go ahead and break down the front end and start welding it all up. While he's doing that, I'm gonna hunt down some of those things, and then I'm gonna start taking apart the suspension, because we got a really cool set of lowering perches here, so I have to figure out how to get the perch off of this setup. I got the strut out of the car, but I haven't got very far after that. Got the spring compressors on there and kind of stuck. So I hit up Gutter Snake, the mechanic over at AGX. If you guys don't follow him on Instagram, you should check him out. He's got a great Instagram. And he's gonna walk me through how to take this off. I think I need to get onto the shaft in here with a tool to stop the shaft from spinning and then spin this top piece off. I'll give you guys an update. Oscar finished welding out the whole front end of the car, so this whole front end is all welded out. We still have some work to do here. We need to make some relief cuts in here to make it crumple if it's in an impact, make it crumple the way that we want it to. But that's pretty much it. Oscar's finished welding all that out, and he moved on to the rear, and he's building the supports and end capping off our frame back here. So you can see he's like added one support in here. We're gonna add more supports in at different angles to help brace our transmission better, and then we're gonna close these guys in over here. While he's doing that, I've been working on the brakes, and we found one really big problem. So I pressurized the brake system, started throwing some fluid through it, and this brake just started spilling out the bottom, and it looked like it was coming out from right here. And then we saw that right here, you guys probably won't see that, but on the end of this, there we go, you can kind of see how at the end here, it's broken. So we could just try and remake this brake line, but then we don't have a lot of time, obviously. SEMA's in like 16 days. I remembered I had some Aston Martin calipers extra laying around from the Aston Martin project, and these look like they're gonna be totally the right size. So I'm gonna steal this piece off the Aston Martin, and it's nice, it's the right red color and everything. So we'll try and get those kind of retrofitted onto the Lamborghini. It's day 279 of the build, 15 days till SEMA left. Oscar is going to continue welding out this back section, straightening things up and welding it and making it look pretty. And I am going to finally tackle this thing once and for all. Gutter Snake has sent me a picture of a tool I need to build. I'm going to go build it, and it's going to work. We got it! This crazy tool that an exotic car technician told me to make in the shop here actually worked. So once I unscrewed that, everything else went pretty quickly. So what I was installing here is this lowering perch. Now you guys remember me talking earlier about how I was gonna like either install lowering springs or just cut the springs, and everybody freaked out in the comments. So lowering perches, I was actually contacted by the guy that makes these. The company's called Avion Tool. They're out of California. I'm going to put a link in the description. So he gave us some 1-inch and some 1.5 inch lowering perches. And with how hard this was to do, like I was like, yeah, we know what, we're going to just do 1 inch for now. So these are really cool. And he said, you know, just test them out, see how they go. They're not super expensive. They're a really good option if anybody wants to lower their Huracan. And these are kind of in the R&D phase right now. So we're going to run them on the car and let everybody know how they do. So that's one down. I'm going to go ahead and get that back in the car, and then we'll get the other one out and do the same thing. Oscar just wrapped up the bracing for the trans mount, so you can see how we have all this new bracing here, and then we kind of cleaned up the cut marks here that we're going to do. Now we're going to do some more bracing underneath, and then we may actually tie into our other braces as well, but for right now, that's kind of where we're at. We might add some more. So Oscar's gonna go ahead now and get the whole front end assembled, fenders on, finish out these Zeus tabs, and get the fenders, front bumper, and hood on, because we gotta get ready to transport this vehicle pretty soon. Alright guys, it's a new day, and Oscar got the whole front end assembled. Everything's on where it's supposed to be. That's all fitting up really nicely. What's up, Oscar? Kyle, the guys just got here. And I got the struts finished and back in. One weird thing happened when you guys saw me cutting and some of that rubber for the struts. It created like some smoke in the shop. We didn't really think much of it. We cracked a door. Went along working. I got home, got extremely sick. I woke up feeling like crap today, and I texted Oscar and I said, did you feel really sick last night? He's like, yeah, I did. So I poisoned us with toxic smoke. Luckily we're alive and here for the next day. So we got some fun stuff to do. So the rest of today we're gonna do some fun kind of experimenting on, well, a bunch of different stuff. We gotta test the electrical system with doors on it, but let's not focus on that. The last test that we wanna do in this episode is one more fire up. So we need to drain our break-in oil, new filter, new oil, just do a full oil change with more break-in oil again, and this time we gotta run the engine harder. But the guys at Haltech were saying, not just the guys at Haltech, but a lot of people were saying that like, hey, you know, your timing, if it's too advanced or it's too retarded, is going to potentially heat up those exhaust manifolds. And there's some other things too that could do that, but they're the first people that came to me with like a way that we could test it. So they said get a thermal like temperature gun so we can actually hit the thing, and based on getting a temperature reading of the metal, we'll be able to tell if it's just, hey, the exhaust temperatures are right and the metal is too thin, or the exhaust temperatures are way too high and this is actually tune related, because you can tune your car, have your car kind of so out of tune that it would heat up your exhaust manifolds either way. So it's a last ditch effort to hopefully not have to replace these exhaust manifolds. So we're gonna do that. So let's get the oil changed and we'll get everything set up to fire back up. All right, oil change is done. So we got fresh break-in oil on this. Now the new thing that we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be running our turbo cooler and our turbo cooling pump. So we'll hit that with that radiator with the infrared gun and see some of the temperatures that we're getting up to. We're just gonna be starting off, we're just gonna idle this thing for a while and make sure that we're gonna check our exhaust gas temperatures at idle. And if things go well, you know, we'll do some fun stuff in a second, but let's get it fired up for now and just see how it reacts. Well. The biggest problem we had in the last episode all of a sudden is just not being a problem for no real reason. Talking with the tuner at Haltech, he was saying, you know, if we were running this thing really rich when we had the wrong cam sensor in here, could have left residual fuel inside the exhaust and been burning it inside the exhaust tubing, heating it up. But what we did was we heat cycled it up, down, 3,000 RPMs, 4,000 RPMs, down to 2,000 RPMs. Sometimes it would get on the hotter side, it would get on the redder side, and then it would just drop right back down to standard exhaust gas temperatures around 500 degrees at the highest, sometimes down to 4. So, we've completely changed our tune now on rebuilding these. We are gonna rebuild these eventually, but before SEMA, if we can not do that, I want to not do that. So huge shout out to ETS for saving the day, you know, just in case. And like I said before, guys, links in the description. Check out the products they have. I can't thank them enough for the support and just like blindly supporting us with whatever we need, really. It means the world to us. So thanks so much for the hookup, but I don't think that we're gonna take the time to build these right now. we're gonna continue doing some testing. In the next episode, we're gonna get this thing out on the street and actually go rip it around a little bit, and that will tell us a little bit more. But right now, the game plan is looking more like build extra supports for these things and stabilization, and not rebuild them entirely. All right guys, it's a new day. So last night when we left off, we were testing a bunch of stuff around the ECU, wheel speed sensors, the Lamborghini electrical system, and doors. And we found a really, really cool solution for doors. Basically what's happening is the Lamborghini electrical system is failing us in every single avenue. And we're finding really creative solutions to get around that, which I really, really like. So that's kind of it. Adding doors didn't help anything. So that's the game plan, and also our drive shafts are in. Our axles, well yeah, we have 2 axles, no drive shafts in this car. Our axles are in from Drive Shaft Shop, which means in the next episode, taking this car out, doing a burnout out front. It's gonna happen. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of your guys' support. As of today, I think we have 12 or 13 days left until SEMA, so we got a lot of work to do, but we're having fun. So, I'll see you on the next one.